All right, today we're going to look at 8.2, graphing simple rational functions, day 2. All right, so again, our goal is to graph simple rational functions. If you didn't copy these down in yesterday's note, make sure that you have them in today's notes. All right, so this is the same notes as what we took yesterday. This is the second set of directions that we had yesterday, where we have the ax plus b over cx plus d. Please make sure that you write these down. You're going to want to make sure that you have these in your notes. All right, so once you get those written down, go ahead and restart the video. All right, so let's go ahead and do an example. So step 1 is to find the vertical asymptote. So in order to do that, you take the denominator and you set it equal to 0. The vertical asymptote is always where x is going to be 0. X is going to make 0 in the denominator. So we set the denominator equal to 0, solve for x. So I get 3x equals negative 1. So x is going to equal negative 1/3. Because that's an x equal line, we know it's going to be vertical. So x equals negative 1/3. All right, so that's our vertical asymptote. Then to find the horizontal asymptote, this is a little bit different because this is a different type of function. And the other one, we just had a over x minus h plus k. This one, we don't just have a on top, right? We have an x. We have a coefficient, the 2x plus 2 over the 3x plus 1. So it's really important to be able to tell the difference between the two. So in this one, it's the coefficient of the top divided by the coefficient of the bottom. So it's 2, maybe if I can write a 2, it's 2/3. So y equals 2/3. Try that again. Right? So do you see how we got the 2/3? It's the coefficient of the top divided by the coefficient of the bottom. So y equals 2/3 is a horizontal line at 2/3. Right? So now we have the vertical and the horizontal asymptote. And just like in the other one, after we do the asymptotes, we're ready for the t-chart. So we pick 2 to the right and 2 to the left. So if I look at where the horizontal asymptote, or the vertical asymptote is, which is here at negative 1/3, I want to pick numbers that are to the left and to the right. So 0 is awfully close, so I'm going to go ahead and pick just 1 and 2, and then I'm going to pick negative 1 and negative 2. And I could have picked 0, it's just that it's really, really close to that asymptote at negative 1/3, so that's why I chose not to choose it. All right, so now we're going to take the 1, and I'm going to plug it into both these x's. So I'm going to have 2 times 1 plus 2, which is 4, divided by 3 times 1 plus 1, which is 4. So I'm going to have the 0.11. And then we're going to plug in 2. So 2 times 2 plus 2, so that would be 6. 3 times 2 plus 1 is 7, 6/7. And then we do negative 1. Negative 1, so 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 2, so that's going to be 0. And then we plug in negative 2. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus 2, so we have negative 2 over negative 6 plus 5. Negative 5, so that's positive 2/5. All right, so now we're going to graph those points. So 1, 1, barely above the asymptote. 2 and 6/7. So that's right above the line, right above the asymptote. So it looks like this. So it almost touches the line. Again, remember, it doesn't ever touch the asymptote, but it's really, really close. And then we have negative 1, 0. And then we have negative 2, positive 2/5. All right, so I'm going to go over negative 2, and then 2/5 is just barely above the line. So it looks like this, barely above the y equals 0 line, not the asymptote. So we're right up against the asymptote, but we never touch the asymptote because that's illegal. So that's what our graph looks like. And if we're going to state the domain and range, just like yesterday, the domain is x is an element of all reals, where x cannot be negative 1/3, and the range is y is an element of all reals, where y cannot be 2/3. All right, and so that whole thing is all our answer. All right, so now at this point here, what we should know, you should be able to recognize the type of graph that we did yesterday. So this is the type, you can see the difference from what we did today. It's got just a constant on top, and then it has x with a degree of 1 and no coefficient on the bottom, and then we have plus k. And then over here, we have x on top and x on bottom, and that's what we did today. So notice the difference between the two, because you have to use the right set of steps to make sure that you graph it correctly. And then domain and range were the same for both of them. How are the two functions similar? Notice that they made the same shape. How are they different? So it's different because finding the asymptote is not quite as easy for h or k, the vertical or horizontal asymptote. And if we look at finding the asymptote for the second one, it wasn't too bad. It's just that a divided by c. So make sure that you can tell the difference between the two before you come to class tomorrow.